The history of linguistics spans thousands of years, evolving through distinct phases, with contributions from cultures and scholars across the globe. Here's a condensed overview of its development, tracing back from ancient civilizations to modern linguistic theories. Ancient linguistics. Ancient India, 500 BCE. The roots of linguistics trace back to ancient India, where scholars like Panini laid the foundations with detailed analyses of Sanskrit. Panini's Ashtadhyayi, circa 500 BCE, is a highly structured grammar system, detailing morphology and phonology. His work influenced later linguistics, introducing concepts like phonemes, morphemes, and grammar rules. Ancient Greece, 500 to 300 BCE. In Greece, linguistics emerged through the philosophical debates of Plato and Aristotle. Plato examined the relationship between words and reality, questioning the nature of meaning, while Aristotle introduced the concept of syntax and categories of words, establishing early grammar analysis. Ancient China, 500 BCE 200 CE. Chinese linguistics primarily focused on the study of phonology for accurately interpreting Confucian texts. Early linguists like Sun Tzu explored the meaning and function of words, laying groundwork for later studies in Chinese language and lexicography. The Middle Ages. Arab scholars, 8th to 10th centuries. Islamic scholars made notable contributions, particularly in phonetics and grammar. Sibawayh, an influential grammarian, compiled an Arabic grammar that examined the phonological structure of Arabic, emphasizing articulation and pronunciation. Medieval Europe. Linguistics in Europe was heavily influenced by Latin, the language of the Church. Scholars created grammatical rules to teach Latin across different regions, but linguistic analysis mainly focused on preserving and understanding classical texts rather than exploring linguistic theory. Renaissance and early modern period, 1500 to 1800. Revival of classical languages. The Renaissance saw a revival of Greek and Latin studies in Europe, stimulating interest in the structures of different languages. Scholars began to compare languages, marking the early stages of historical linguistics. European grammarians, 17th to 18th centuries. Grammarians like Port-Royal in France developed universal grammar concepts, analyzing sentence structures and logical syntax, which would later influence Noam Chomsky's theories in the 20th century. The 19th century, birth of comparative and historical linguistics. Comparative philology. This period saw linguists comparing languages to trace their origins and relationships. Sir William Jones, in the late 18th century, observed similarities between Sanskrit, Latin, and Greek, suggesting a common ancestry, the Indo-European language family. Grimm's law and sound change. Jacob Grimm formulated rules describing regular sound changes in languages, leading to systematic approaches for comparing languages. The neo-grammarian school emphasized that sound changes are regular, foundational to modern historical linguistics. Morphology and syntax. Scholars like August Schleicher began to analyze morphological structures, and Wilhelm von Humboldt emphasized the role of syntax, viewing language as a dynamic process. The 20th century, structuralism and beyond. Structural linguistics. Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguist, revolutionized linguistics by focusing on the underlying structures of language. His theory distinguished between langue, the systematic language structure, and parole, individual speech acts. Saussure's work laid the groundwork for structuralism, influencing linguists globally. American structuralism. In the United States, Leonard Bloomfield led American structuralism, emphasizing rigorous methods in phonology and syntax. His descriptive approach analyzed languages without assumptions of a universal grammar, focusing heavily on indigenous languages of the Americas. Prague School. The Prague School, led by Roman Jakobson and others, contributed significantly to phonology. They developed distinctive feature theory, studying how phonetic elements function in linguistic systems. Generative grammar and Chomsky's revolution, 1950s to 1960s. Noam Chomsky and generative grammar. In the 1950s, Noam Chomsky introduced transformational generative grammar, proposing that humans possess an innate grammatical structure, universal grammar, that allows for language acquisition. His theory shifted linguistics towards cognitive sciences, suggesting that language reflects mental processes. Syntax and deep structure. Chomsky introduced concepts of deep structure and surface structure, asserting that all languages share a common structural basis. His work catalyzed research in syntax, semantics, and language acquisition. Late 20th century, sociolinguistics, pragmatics, and cognitive linguistics. Sociolinguistics. William Labov pioneered sociolinguistics, studying language variations across social groups. Sociolinguistics examines how factors like class, gender, and ethnicity influence language, making linguistics more interdisciplinary. Pragmatics. Scholars like J. L. Austin and John Searle developed speech act theory, studying how language functions in context. Pragmatics explores meaning beyond literal words, focusing on implication, intention, and social interaction. Cognitive linguistics. George Lakoff and Ronald Langacker challenged Chomsky's formalism, proposing that language is rooted in human experience and conceptual structures. This approach views language as connected to cognition, incorporating insights from psychology and anthropology. Contemporary linguistics, 2000s, present. Corpus linguistics. With advances in technology, linguists now analyze large datasets, corpora, of spoken and written language. This approach aids in studying real language usage, influencing fields from lexicography to language teaching. Computational linguistics. The rise of artificial intelligence has fueled computational linguistics, which applies algorithms to analyze language data. Natural language processing, NLP, enables machine translation, sentiment analysis, and speech recognition, making linguistics essential in technology. Critical and post-colonial linguistics. Contemporary linguistics also addresses language ideologies, identity, and power. Critical linguistics examines how language reflects and reinforces social hierarchies, while post-colonial studies explore the impact of colonization on language and identity. Summary. Linguistics has evolved from early studies of grammar and phonetics in ancient societies to the rigorous scientific approaches seen today. It has moved from structural analyses to cognitive and social perspectives, expanding its scope with advancements in technology and interdisciplinary methods. Modern linguistics examines language through various lenses: structural, cognitive, social, and computational, reflecting a field that is as dynamic and diverse as language itself.